Hi, my name is Michael Soloway, and I am one of the co-directors and co-creators of IDEAS, the International Digital Electronic Accordion Society. I've been threatening to make this video for some time. Considering what we're living through, and there's two subjects to this really. One main subject and one auxiliary subject, and that is the IDEAS Symposium. And the other one is the subject of membership, which I hope I get to. This video is unrehearsed. I'm not reading anything. It is done in the way that Joe and I have done things from the day we really started this. It's done from the heart. It's done as openly and honestly as possible, considering that we're living in a time that we've never lived through before. And things are non-understandable, and it's very hard to comprehend, and we don't know what's going to happen day after day. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me back up a little and tell this story, okay? Bear with me. This isn't going to be short, and I have to tell you, in the end, it's not going to be conclusive. It's going to take more than Joe and I to make this conclusive, but we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to you to talk, and like we've been talking amongst ourselves. So that's just what I'm going to do, and let's see where it goes. Okay. You will see me lean forward from time to time, because the only editing that I am going to do is that I pause it from time to time and stop, take a breather, think about it. This project is taking all day, so you're going to watch daylight behind me turn into night, I'm sure, as the day has gone on. And that's about it. So, look, what Joe and I wanted to do a number of years ago, and we talked about it for a long time, was to form a community, an organization, if you will, but call it a church, call it whatever you want. It's meant to be an association, a home for digital and electronic accordion players. We're people that, if you take the entire energy pie, if you take the circle, that's your energy pie, there's a slice in hours that has to be devoted to technology. It's different from an acoustic accordion player only in that sense that they don't have that devotion. So a certain amount of your energy has to go towards learning technology. It makes us a little different. In order to create our art and in order to express ourselves fully, we have to learn mechanically the ins and outs of our instruments more than other accordion players. We've tried to keep it as open as possible. The accordion world is marginalized to begin with by the world of music, and to have the digital world within the accordion world marginalized even further is unfortunate, to say the least. And so we wanted to make a home, and in fact, very quickly we found out that home was needed, because it's been growing very steadily, and the highlight to us of everything that we do is our annual symposium. We didn't choose the word symposium lightly. We could have called it a convention. Other people do. It's not. It's a learning, educational, and artistic meeting. And that's what symposium means if you look it up in the dictionary, and that's why we've had it. And we've had two of them so far. They are in November. We tried to find a time for them that didn't interfere with the other accordion events that do occur over a period of a 12-month period here in North America, or in the world for that matter. And so we usually have it in the first week or two of November. We've had it in Ohio, partly because Joe, my partner, lives there, and it allows us to be really orderly and organized as we're creating something that has never been created before. And there's a place there called the Avalon Inn. I think they now call it the Grand Hotel. That's been a really lovely place, and they've been very welcoming to us. And so that's what we've done. And we've started with one, and the next year, we had one last year with Symposium 2.0, and it doubled in size, and we fully expected that this one probably would do the same as it unfolded. So somewhere around late January, February, as the tidal wave of wonderful emotions that came out of the second symposium, Symposium 2.0, started to settle down, and we had time to relax and to cool back and reminisce on everything that happened and collect all of our feedback. We started to have our conversations about where are we going to go with the next symposium? What are we going to call it? It seems natural to call it Symposium 3.0, but we do have a tendency to try not to just repeat things for the sake of repeating them, because the accordion world has been so full of that for so long that we want to make sure that we are refreshing and that we are rejuvenating and that we are growing and we are dynamically evolving as time goes on. And so we began to talk about it. We had some ideas, we had some non-ideas, and it started to come together. And then all of a sudden, one night, I woke up in the middle of the night and this picture came to me of this new symposium, of how this symposium could be. I got all excited. I tried not to phone Joe in the middle of the night, although we have done that before. And the next day I called him and I was all excited and I started to tell him my ideas. And wouldn't you know, and this is how really wonderful things happen, as I was talking, he started to talk, and then I started to talk, and it turned out that we had both been having the very same idea, getting the very same picture at the very same time. If that wasn't a confirmation to us that we were on the right track, I don't know what was. So this is what it was that we were talking about. And it kind of started a little bit with Kep last year. We all know Kep, and he gave a talk over a lunch hour, just about an hour, when he was talking about the future of the accordion. And Joe and I have been talking a lot about the future of the digital accordion, is what I mean to say. Where is it going? What's happening? And truthfully, when we all show up at our symposium, I would say that 85-90% or more of us are playing Roland accordions. This is not a Roland accordion convention. It just happens to be what it is, and it happens to involve an instrument that was created and is really a very interesting and full instrument. But none of us want to end up being quarterbox players in 5 years. I remember when I first decided to commit to the digital accordion, and I called Eddie Montero and I said, Eddie, I'm not playing my acoustic anymore, and I want to commit my work to the digital. What do you think? And I called my brother, who was an electric guitar player, and I asked their opinions, because I was ready to really just focus on the digital accordion. And I received a lot of support. I received it from Eddie, I received it from my brother, I received it from Joe Natoli. And that was my personal choice, is that I was no longer going to balance between both worlds. We don't know what the future was going to be. We don't know what's happening with Roland. And there are other things happening. And Kep began to open our eyes. And every time we'd be talking, I belonged to Corey Pesaturo's Academy. And one night, as it should have come to an end, everybody started asking, do you know what's happening? Do you know what's going on in Europe? Do you know what's happening with Bougueries? And do you know what's happening with Marco, etc.? And it seemed to be a real thing. And so what we were talking about was this a whole different idea. It wouldn't be the third symposium that just built a little bit on the last one, which built somewhat on the first one. It's going to be a whole entirely different thing, and it was going to be the future. We were going to steal the name Back to the Future from the movies, but we were afraid we might get sued. We had another name that was really cool. It was called Revolution, where the R dropped off, and then it said Evolution. And you'll see on the website, Joe kind of tried to put something up, but we had all kinds of explosive ideas as to, I'm going to keep using the word ideas. I'm not going to ask you to forgive me for the pun. It's just such a cool name, and it just keeps coming up like that. So, but Revolution with the R dropping off becomes Evolution. And that's what it was all about. And we wanted to make it huge and international. And we wanted people from all over the world to come in. We started reaching out. Well, we agreed very quickly that that's what we were going to do. Back to the Future, or The Future is Now, or the child walks, or we had a million names. We never did finally get the real final name for it. But what we wanted to do, and we started to reach out to all of the people that are involved in the industry, that are taking our instruments in different directions in interesting ways. One of the most prominent is Marco, who was originally with the Bugari Evo, and now he has his own company called Proximo. And so the first decision we made was that the new ideas, the second ideas scholar, which is something we started doing last year, which would be our lifetime honorary faculty members and somebody we honor, was going to be Marco. And so it was my job to reach out to him, and I spent a considerable time on the phone discussing this idea, and it was just getting more exciting and more exciting. We started to reach out to Limex MIDI, and we wanted to expand to every electronic possibility, and Cavagnola and Musitech, and there's others with left hand work, and we wanted everybody to come together. We were going to encourage and build this thing that people couldn't stay away from. And like when I was talking to Marco, I said, listen, Marco, this is not anymore like a social visit from Italy, where we just drop in and you kind of hang and say hi. This is a different story. This is it for us. This is a different thing that we're building. So instead of having a suite in your room where you're going to be showing instruments, first of all, you can't show up without hardware. You have to bring it. I don't care if it's even in a preliminary form or whatever it is. And in fact, it wasn't. I mean, Marco has a new instrument that at the time was going to be finished about now, that he could have brought. And I said, you have to bring these things. We have to be able to touch them and feel them and play them and talk about them and go into the middle of the night. And not only that, this time it's not a vendor thing. We're going to have whole sessions, tracks. You're going to be teaching, talking. So there would still be the technical department, because we have found over the years now that that's a real love and a real need from ideas, is for us to provide the education for all levels. We have 3 now, there could be more, but from all levels and all different directions of how do we get into these instruments, how do we do what we dream of, how do we do what we want, how do we play the music that we want, how do they work, and level 1 and level 2 and level 3 and advanced, and there's so many people involved in so many levels, and we can't throw that away. And so that would still be a part of the symposium where you're learning and studying and just getting more in 4 days than you could in a year any other way on learning how to use your instrument. But the other half this time was going to be this international thing where there would be seminars and talks and not just teaching things. So Marco, for example, using him as an example, would be there teaching a course for hours, a couple of hours, talking. And he got excited. He said, I want that. I want that because I want to hear from you people, what is it that you want? Because, I'm not rolling, and if you have soft things that we can do with software, we could implement them in a month, never mind several years. And this very progressive energy started to develop, and excitement with some of the people that were preparing to come, and that liked the idea that they would be part of the concerts. It would just be a different, I don't even know yet what it would have been, and I don't know what it will be. It's just, we were just spinning off and exploding into space with ideas. It's just that we couldn't even control. Joe was off doing it. I was doing it. We were starting to involve members, Cap and Bob Donovan, and talking to Mitchell White and Marcus Baggio, and and we started pulling together the faculty for both sides of this, the international come together of the future, of people talking, saying, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, check it out, see what you think. Oh, here's what they're doing, here's what I'm doing, here's what someone else is doing. Let's play with it, let's see what's happening. And Alex last year brought a different form of accordion as well, and he would probably bring that back, and we would incorporate all of this. And we had this vision of people coming from all over the world to see, and we are the market. The more people that we can produce, the more people we can bring together and put in one spot with the people who are holding our future and creating instruments, the more spectacular the results could be. And that was our dream. Originally we said if we can form a singular organization for digital accordionists, then the people who are developing digital accordions can come to us and we can come to them to find out what we want and what they can sell and what they can build. And it just makes a great brotherhood, and it makes, I believe, a really dynamic and functional marketing and creative situation. And so that's what we were doing. And Kevin Selecki was on board already, and Lenny Feldman was coming, and Marco was going to be Marco is already idealized as our idea scholar for this year. We were reaching out to companies from all over the world, and people were showing a lot of interest in coming, teaching, talking, and showing, like if you want to see a MIDI accordion, for example, that's something that we haven't done before, and they're going to do that. They'll do it in seminars this time, and they'll be prepared and have concerts to show their instruments in concert situations, not just in a suite. And it was evolving, and all of a sudden we roll into the beginning of March of 2020. So I'm going to pause for a minute, catch my breath, and then I'm going to go on from there. Okay. So now it's the beginning of March, and the world as we know it starts to fall apart completely. I don't mean to make light of this, and I'm in my home, but if we can't make light of it at this point, then something's wrong. We have to live. Yeah, and I told you this was going to be long. I'm not going to apologize for that. We're at home, all of us. If you can be binging on Ozark or Breaking Bad or whatever it is, then you can binge on this a little bit too, for now. So March comes along, and very quickly the world falls into this pandemic horror that has beset the entire planet. I don't have to live it for you. I don't have to define it. We're all living through it together. But things started in just a very confused way. I didn't know what was happening. I don't know if any of you knew what was happening. I didn't know whether to take this very seriously or not very seriously. I just didn't get it. And the whole world was spinning. And this was exactly at the time. I was about to do this concert that was very important to me. It was at a film festival in New York City, and I hung on to the last minute, and it was supposed to be March the 19th, and a week before it got canceled. And this was the exact time, with all of the excitement, that Joe and I were going to refine these ideas as best we could. Although we didn't want them too refined, we loved the explosive nature of what was happening and what we were doing. And we didn't know what to do. That's the truth. And that's why I'm here talking and not just trying to write this out. We started watching things happen. We watched my concert get canceled. We watched everyone else's concerts get canceled. We watched the Olympic Games get canceled. We watched suddenly the AAA accordion meeting got canceled in July. And we're sitting there and saying, well, it's July, it's not November. It's spring, it's not November. How long can this last? Who knows? Surely we're going to be all right by November. And we're talking about this continuously. And truthfully, we just don't know. We just didn't know. And we didn't know what to do. And so our decision at the time, whether right or wrong or wise or not, we respect our members more than anything, and we respect our followers more than anything, and so we decided to just hang back. We were about to begin the biggest promotional push, the biggest exciting push, the biggest creative inertia and energy that ideas had ever had. We were right there. And we were ready to reach out and make prices and And you know, it was just the two of us, and we were starting to, and it was just looking really fun and really terrific. And then the world fell apart, and we didn't know what to do. And as I said, we were frightened. So we said, you know, it just seemed inappropriate, with everybody feeling the way they did and not knowing what was going on, and priorities was almost impossible to sort out. It was impossible to sort out for us as a family. It was impossible for us to sort out as an organization or as an institution or as a business. It was impossible to sort out what was happening as a country. And billions of dollars were disappearing, and millions and millions of people were out of work, and many people were sick and dying. And for us, in the midst of that, to begin developing this excitement towards the Symposium for Ideas seemed wrong. So we just withdrew. We just put it away for the time being, and March came and went, and April came, and here's the bind. Be us for a moment, and we're all in this kind of together. So this is an event that takes time to make happen. It doesn't just happen overnight, and that's why it's been so good and so successful and so outstanding over the last 2 years. A lot of energy, a lot of time, and a lot of really talented and creative people went into it. But there's this balance point that we couldn't figure out. So we need a number of months, we need time to talk to the people, to talk to the Europeans, particularly with the size and the dynamic of what we were trying to develop. We needed time for people. We were talking travel. My goodness, you can't talk about travel to anybody, going anywhere, at any time, in any way. So our hands were tied. We didn't know what to do. We were looking at November. I'm seeing it like I'm seeing it over a mountaintop, like it's there, and it's possible, but maybe it's not. And do we want to build an entire symposium like the film festival that I was playing? And I watched the directors of this film festival carry it within 1 week and see it fall apart and see what happened to their lives. And I have to tell you, Joe and I didn't want that to happen to us. We didn't want it to happen to ideas. And we didn't want a distorted value system to be put upon our membership. So we just stayed silent and withdrew and watched. I'm not sure we're doing any different now, other than I have this need to share, no matter how long it takes. And Joe and I talked, and I said, okay, I'll do this for us. You want me to put the mask back on and the gloves? It's why Joe isn't sitting beside me. Nobody will come into my house. Nobody. Our kids won't come into our house. Our grandchildren won't come into our house. We're not allowed in our building to ride up and down the elevator unless we're completely covered and wearing masks and wearing gloves, and the park across the street is closed and all the businesses are closed. And my wife went to buy groceries today and stood in line for 2 hours before she could even get in to buy the groceries, whatever was there. And then she comes home and she washes everything and disinfects it, and I don't have to. I mean, that's I'm not going on with that because we're all living it. So you know. So Joe and I didn't know what to do. I said, Joe, I'm going to make a video because I keep trying to write it out to post it, and it's too long and it's crazy. I'm going to talk, and I kept putting it off because we were on this seesaw. Should we? Shouldn't we? We don't want to cancel this. I mean, we have such inertia. It's the only one, and we're watching everything else get canceled. So we haven't canceled it, but every day the odds are getting worse and worse and worse that there can be an event. We can't even put together the variables. Maybe we can have the event because people by that point will be allowed to come together. Maybe they won't. Even if they are allowed to come together, if they have to take an airplane, or they're coming from Italy, for example, one of the worst spots in the world, will that be allowed? Will they be allowed into America? There are so many variables that we are afraid that it may not be able to happen one-on-one in a person. Now, what's happening now is that the whole world, businesses, and my wife is in education. We were running an entire school from our home. The technology that's involved with cyberspace and virtual realities and virtual existence right now is accelerating at a pace that's spectacular, for that matter. I was going to say frightening, but it's not that it's frightening. The world will never be the same again. And I don't have to give you all these lectures. You're getting them from everywhere else. But I believe that it's not going to be the same again. However it will be, the world as we know it is not going to be as it was. And there are many changes, and we're getting much more used to distancing, and we're getting much more used to being cleaner and being different. And so anyway, what's happening is the virtual reality is changing very quickly, and it's improving very quickly. And we're investigating that. And so one of the things that is now on our doorstep that we're saying to ourselves, and I've called some of our members and gotten their opinions, and some of the people, we have a core group of people and ideas that have been with us from the first day that are solid as a rock. They support us in such a way that it warms my heart all the time. And I've been calling some of these people and talking with them and asking their feelings of what's going on. Or people will post. You read it, you're seeing this post saying, well, I'll see you in November. Or let's talk about this in November. So I'm learning that our membership is having as hard a time letting go of this as we are. And having the same seesaw going back and forth as to what we might do and what might happen. Well, I can't tell you what's going to happen. I told you it wasn't going to be conclusive. I know that there's going to come a breaking point when Joe and I will have to look and say, well, we can't throw 4 or 5 months intensely into our lives, and then there's financial obligations, and there's issues with people, and then say a week before, like the film festival, we're going to find out that it's still the same as it is today, and people can't come together or won't come together. So one of the things we're considering is a virtual symposium. Don't ask me what it means yet, because I don't know. We're studying the technologies. I'm certainly open once you hear this to hear your ideas and some of the things, there's the word again, here's some of the things that you think and feel. I'm very interested in feelings, and thinking and feeling are not the same things. So I know that people want this symposium. I want this symposium. I get as much out of it as any other student does. So we're looking into the technology now, and we're trying to think about what would it mean if, for example, we still couldn't come together as people, even virtually we couldn't come together. So, for example, we're sitting in my studio. I could easily teach from this studio. I could teach the technology subjects that people want to hear from me. Eddie Montero is 40 minutes from me, you know. I could have him here, and the two of us could do something, but not if he can't come into my home, or I can't go into his home. And right now, that's the situation for all of us. And we walk down the street, and we walk 10 feet around people when we walk by. So we're studying what will happen if it's all individualized. I know there are programs, and people like Greg Bolovic are invaluable there, because he knows a lot more than me, and than most people actually, and about how these things, and he's very quick to analyze some of these. There are programs where you can play in an ensemble live. I'm not sure yet if they're ready or if they're perfected enough, but these are the types of things that are being worked on and being perfected, and that we're beginning to study. So what are some of our options? Some of the options are that the world will clean up, that it'll change, it'll open up, and we can have the symposium. If they decide that and it's 30 days in advance, I don't know. I just don't know yet. But I feel that by being honest with you, sharing our hearts, sharing our souls, sharing our feelings with you, sharing our confusion, that we can watch together now on the seesaw and see what happens. In the meantime, Joe has jumped right in and starting to look into the technology. I know we have members who are very hip on lots of technology, and we can hear, obviously Zoom has taken a big part in a lot of things. I see my wife is running a whole school on Zoom. A lot of interesting things are happening with it. Look, it started anyway. One of the most exciting things we had happening for this symposium is that Uwe Steger is involved and is on faculty. But Uwe can't travel. So he was already going to be there virtually. And we were already studying how we could make sure that if we were all in Ohio, and Uwe was in Germany, that those sessions would be as real as, let's say, Eddie's were last year, or Matthias's were, and Matthias was probably coming back this year as well. How could we make them that real? Because they can be. They can be. He could be in Germany, we could be here, we could be sharing with him and learning with him and learning from him as if he was right here. There was no question in our minds, and just to have him, we were super excited, as I know you all were. Particularly when this new idea came with us of Back to the Future, evolution, revolution, because I don't know of many people who are in a position like Uwe to talk about that and to lead us or lead with us in that direction. So that's one of the things we're looking at. As I called some of our members the other day, I'm not going to start quoting people, but some of the things that I've heard are that, I mean, people would be heartbroken if there was no. There's more than just the learning in this symposium. This is the most unique accordion event, I think, in the world. I don't think there's one like it. And there is such fellowship and such brotherhood there. It goes on all night long. There's one-on-one things. There's teaching one-on-one. There's playing. There's Jerry Jacoby and the jam sessions that he has at night. And so one of the options is that the symposium could happen. I'm not going to tell you it's canceled yet. I think that we may be heading in that way, but I'm not going to tell you that it's canceled yet. I'm explaining the seesaw. We are really starting to move into the realm of a virtual possibility, because the one thing that Joe and I don't want to see happen is nothing. So know that. To vacate it, like so many things are vacating, to not have a baseball season, to not have a AAA accordion meeting, to not have a film festival, although they did theirs virtually as well. To just have nothing would not be our nature. It's not who we are. I don't think it's who you are either. I don't think it's who all of you are. And so I don't think that's an option right now. I think I can safely say that. I can't definitely say anything. I can't even leave my house definitely these days. But I'm telling you, that's where we're at. I think that's where you're at as well. That something has to happen for the Ideas Symposium in November of 2020, and I believe it will. A third possibility that was thrown out at me was, depending on the seesaw and where it goes and where our reality evolves, is a hybrid situation where it is done virtually. Now, I don't know, this gets a little more complex. So I just don't know how complicated we can get and how much time it takes and how much energy is required and maybe pull together. But if groups are allowed and if there is some physicality and we haven't had time to make it, what was suggested to me by one of our members was that maybe a smaller group of people, whatever, 15, 20 people, maybe more, I don't know, whatever. But a small group of physical people who want to touch and feel and hug and play may be able to show up in Ohio for the social part that they would miss. And still we will have the virtual reality, and then that small group or whatever it ends up being, we would call it a hybrid. So if Jerry was there, people who could drive there could drive there. Who knows if anybody can fly? If they can, that's possible, but people who can drive could drive, and that would be a component of the virtual reality as well. smaller, more contained, sharing the virtual learning, but also that group of people would get to indulge in the personal warmth and brotherhood that they want. And that's what came back to me when I started calling some people, saying that we would miss that. And so who knows? So there's a hybrid, there's in between. The one thing that I really think I'm safe in saying is that I don't think that Joe and I are willing to let the whole thing just disappear. So I'm going to pause for a minute again. So I'm going to start to wrap up. I mean, I don't have to torture you. But by the way, I just have to mention to you, you know how we're all living. I mean, I'm no different than you, and you're no different from me. And my studio here is right beside our kitchen. And my wife Rivka was in the kitchen and didn't realize that the noise might carry over. So there was some noise in the last segment, and you're just gonna have to live with it. That's the way it is. So, look, I think I made myself clear. What's most important is that we wanted to communicate to you where we're at. I don't think we're any different than anybody else, but now you know what's unfolding, so that we can now be more forthcoming with information towards one of those directions. Look, the fact is, there are lots of the things, because remember the technological slice of our pie, there's certain things that can be even more exciting virtually, can be very thorough and can be very cool done that way. There are churches that I know that are holding Sunday services virtually, and that's partly a social event that is being successfully done. There are other kinds of meetings that are being held and social events, so that certainly we can have those. We can have with Zoom, that's very easy. With Zoom, I mean, we can have 40, 50 people in a Zoom call, just talking, sharing, gossiping, sharing ideas, and in an evening. So there are aspects of a virtual symposium that are actually really enticing and kind of interesting. Don't even know how far our world is going to go into being that kind of a world, as this page in this chapter of our country, in this chapter of our planet, turns over into a new chapter. So, but anyway, I think you get the idea. Most important is that I'm able to share it with you, so that now we can communicate over the next month or so and see where this is going to go. There is one more subject that I would like to get to. I said I wasn't sure I was going to get to it, and I want to clarify for our sake that it's a little more me, this one, but I feel very strongly about it, and I like to share it because it's very pertinent to what we're doing, and it's the subject of membership. So, listen, we have a membership plan, and we have a website that's developing, and I want to tell you how I feel about it, just so that you know. I really don't mind putting this out. A lot of people are going to see this, and so I don't want to nail Joe with this. So I believe that I'm speaking for ideas, but I am speaking for me at this moment, and I really believe in membership. I really do. And you know what? In ideas, we're not selling you anything for that membership. And the odd time somebody will say, so what do I get for it? You know, the membership at this point is $45 for a renewable membership, and it's $60 for a non-renewable one. What the membership has to do with is support. It's not items. If you asked me personally, could I itemize it? Yes, look, Joe is working very hard and does really well on developing a website for ideas. I try and hold him back a little bit because I don't want him to hurt himself by overworking. And I know it's going to evolve beautifully in time into something wonderful, but I'm not selling that website for that membership. What's happening with the membership is that people are coming together to say, I believe in this idea. I believe in you. I believe in me. I believe in us. And I know that this is the world we live in, and I don't mean the pandemic world, and that nothing happens for nothing. It takes time and it takes energy. So far, there's still just Joe and I, and we are incorporating more people from that core membership group to help and as we grow and as we go along. But it's really important. It's important to make a statement. To me, I want to be a member of ideas. I want to say I'm a member of ideas, and I want to know that I've given what I can to it. And that's really what membership is to me. And the more people that join ideas, and the more people that feel that loyalty and that are willing to express it by contributing something to it in the form of a membership, it's not a lot of money. Look, truth is, I'm a member of other organizations. I'm a member of the AAA, for example. I usually go to their meetings in the summer when they are, but I'm not involved in any other way. But I pay the membership. I think it's $60. I pay it every year, and I do it because I'm an accordion player, and because it's not going to ruin my life completely to be able to spend that money, and I want them to survive. I want accordion people and accordion events to survive. And I want ideas to survive as well. This doesn't belong to the symposium. This belongs to all the research that's going on and all of the things that are happening. So yes, we have members only sections on the website, but I'm not selling that for a membership. To me, I am soliciting all of the digital accordion players in the world and saying, come to us. Be part of this organization. Be part of this world. Be part of this establishment, this family that we're creating. And become a member for many reasons. One is so that we can present the market as we go along to manufacturers and to things as they start to come to us, which they're doing now. So they're saying, how many people do we have on the Facebook page? And we'll have 1,000 soon. We don't have 1,000 members yet, but we might be moving in that direction. So if you've thought about it, if you're on the Facebook page, if you're glad that ideas exist, if you want it to continue to exist, it takes time and it takes energy and it takes money. And that's where the membership goes. That's what it does. It's not that you're being sold items or special things, although there will be more and more for members as time unfolds. And as Joe builds that website bigger and better and more glorious all the time, there will be special things for members, but that's not to me what it's really about. What it's about is you and me and Joe and all of us coming together. That $45 renewable membership is a terrific thing, particularly now that we're putting a lot of research and into what's happening. So think about it. I just want you to know how I feel. That is how I feel, and that's what it's all about. So if you're on this page and you're seeing this and you are a member, thank you very, very much. It means a tremendous amount to me, not just for the money, but because of your emotional support, your actual support, and your willingness to make a statement to say, I believe in this, I want this, I'll support it, and that's how I can support it. If you're not, what can I tell you? Think about it. Think about it. We'd love to have a large membership to be able to accomplish all of the wonderful things that we want. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight. I hope that you got through this. I said I know it was long, and I love you all. I really love the organization. I think that we are one of the most, if not the most, unique musical organizations that exists, and I'm very proud of it. So I hope we get through all this. Stay well, stay healthy, and let's start talking about some kind of symposium now over the next month or two.